I'm looking in the chat. Who do I see? Describe, Data God, Star Critus, Star Cry Tass, or is it Critus? What's up, everybody? It is.
Hi, Jace.
Hello. There's people in Skype. They're Skyping. I see and hear things. And let's see what else. It's been a couple weeks. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks. Does it seem like a long time to you? Man, seems like I just did this. I see more people appearing in Skype. I'm sure there's lots of questions. Tampa. I want to talk to Tampa and his speedrun stuff. So let's see, what else? Someone's got a bowl of pears. So obviously, Zazcag, you're going to share those pears with all of us? Or is it just you the only one who gets pears? I know Soroka's hungry. He could use some pears. All right.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. So pears for everybody, and it's fruit, and it's healthy, and there you go. So let's see. In the last 2 weeks, we've obviously worked on the site, added some things. I caught a little bit of the settle in on the screen where some characters were talking about some player skill indexes and, normal crybaby stuff that happens on settle it on the screen. It's called crybaby on the screen. That's what it. I'm just teasing. I'm teasing.
We're just speculating, that's all. We're just warming you up.
Look, I'm just mad. I'm mad you guys saw the kill screen in Zookeeper where Echo the Dolphin comes out. So I'm jealous.
Well, we're expert gamers, what can you say?
Can you unmute Skype, please? Matthew Wapp, is everything... Neo, are any of the Skypes muted? None of the Skypes are muted. So if you're not coming through, that means... Which one?
4 is muted.
4? Okay, unmute 4.
Unmute 4.
All right, we're unmuting things. I got bad information, and now the information is good. Okay. Let's go on. There's a bunch of questions. I'm going to try to roll through them quickly, and then I'm sure there's a bunch of questions in the chat. Ring, Jace, Brando.
4 is muted because she has a lot of background noise.
Oh, 4 is muted because there's a lot of background noise. Okay. So 4, if you want to say something, just wave your hand, and then we can unmute you. All right, here we go. Questions. Will grandfathered tracks that were grandfathered because of the infinite leeching will be reopened for submissions? I've given this a lot of thought, and I still cannot think of a reason why not to open it. I can't think of a reason. Now, with all the things that we have in place, if someone wants to just turn... I've really thought through Leechfest scenarios, and they always will come down to human marathoning, right? So you basically, by creating a Leechfest, you sit there just accruing a score and reducing the game's difficulty down to nothing. So then what's left? How long you can do it. That's all that's left. So, I mean, if that's what you want to do, I mean, why even play the game? You could just stand there and see how long you can stand there. That could be but I don't see why it hurts. Now that we have a system that can help everybody understand that not all records are the same level of achievement. They are all achievements, but they're not all the same level. Now that you have that, now it's okay to have a track where it's a leech fest, because eventually that track will be able to be publicly regarded at the level of difficulty that it really is, or at the level of respect that it really gets. So, and I have not heard any reason why these should stay closed. I'm looking at the chat now to see if anybody can say anything about that. Yeah, data guide, described. Yeah, I think everybody gets it. I think everybody gets why it's not a big deal now. So we will go and open those at some point over the next few days, I would think. I just got to remember to do it on top of all of the things that we're doing. Okay, moving on. Oop. Oh, look at this. All right. Twin Galaxy currently rounds its speedrun times to whatever second is closest. The measurement is a rough estimate, but it's not as precise as it could be. Should rounding be used for new speedrun submission tracks? In general, the speedrun community uses whatever second the time falls into. For example, if my time was 6 minutes, 4 seconds, 0.98, we just write that down as 6:04 on the leaderboard, or even 6:04.98. Getting an exact measurement would be ideal. I think times should possibly be rounded to the nearest tenth of a second in terms of the accuracy. A run might be 6:04.98, but it might be 1 frame off in either direction. Unless the time can be definitely determined, I think the times should be rounded to the nearest tenth after doing a frame calculation. This one could maybe be just noted in the rule set. All currently established speedrun tracks have just rounded the times, but I feel new tracks should be timed differently and more accurately. Okay. Let me just sort of address this. There's no technical reason why we can't have as much accuracy as we want as a collective group. I mean, right now the database is geared all the way to the thousandths of milliseconds, right? It's in milliseconds. So you can have 3 digits. And so I'm not sure how this question, I'm pretty sure, I want to look again, but I'm pretty sure you can set up a track that measures in milliseconds, and that's how it's going to be listed, and so it can be as exact as you want it to be. Anybody want to correct me on this if I'm wrong? I don't think I'm wrong, though. I mean, I'm assuming thousandths of a second is a fine enough resolution for speedrun tracks. So when you set up and create a track, you can choose that it can be done in milliseconds. So I
agree.
I don't think there's an issue, right? I mean, you guys, Soroka and Glenn, you guys have set up tracks, right? Like you can. I'm trying to remember, but yeah, you can.
I haven't set up any. I haven't signed up any timed records ones, so I'm kind of.
Right.
I'm a novice to. I've only done the points.
I see. Well, no, I know that our database deals in milliseconds. I know that we have all the complexity of showing times relates to old records that are supposed to be displayed a particular way. And like, it's super easy for us to have everything in milliseconds and have everything have 3 digits, but then people want, no, only show 2 digits, only show 1 for this game. This is how this game does that. But if you're creating a new track, you can specify that right from the get-go, so I think you're fine. Let me look at the chat for a second.
I think Jace to help you. We're talking about manually timed speed runs. You know, games that don't have an in-game timer, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm only looking at it. I'm not looking at it from a rules perspective because, in my opinion, the person who's creating the track is going to be setting those rules regarding whether it's rounded or not. I'm looking at it from just a data storage perspective and telling you that we can save in the thousandth place without an issue, and I believe you can set up a track now to do that. So I don't see how speed runs aren't covered by what exists today moving forward, unless I am missing something.
Makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
All right.
I just think some of the community want some type of standard, but
I see. So okay, so this is the thing. Twin Galaxies can set the rules for particular tracks and for particular things. But the issue with rule setting in that way is that if you are not an absolute expert in that specific thing, you might set inappropriate rules or rules that people don't care about. So Twin Galaxies is more set up now to enforce rules that have been set, but allow experts to set the rules. So once the rules are established, then you have a system that then enforces them. Now, you know, is the idea that all speedruns should be 2 decimal places. That's just the rule. It has to be that way. I just don't see an advantage to laying down a rule like that. I see it as not necessarily accommodating a number of special cases that may come up. So instead of trying to blanket cover everything, I think it's better to treat all of these performances, these scores, these games as uniquely as they are and form around them the best solution for each one. So that's where the philosophy generally comes from. I hope that made sense. Let me go to the next question. Twin Galaxies does not currently allow a track to have submissions from multiple platforms and regions. How can Twin Galaxies allow for submissions from various platforms, regions? My thought is that when creating a new track, there should be an option of selecting all platforms or any platform so that players can decide which platform they want to use when submitting for a particular game. Player may opt to use the original N64 version of Ocarina of Time, but they might want to use the Japanese version or whatever. Okay, what this is talking about is what I will refer to as a superset. Okay? Because on the base level, you're playing a game and it has to be on some platform, right? So your base structure is a game and a platform. Now what you're talking about is creating a superset of rules that then looks at all the platforms and allows you to create a competition across platforms, not within a platform. Okay? So we will get to that, but baby steps. Okay? Like we need to get the basic stuff all perfectly working and making sense. We don't even have yet so let me take a step back from that. We need a leaderboard that allows you to see the top Twin Galaxies player profiles, like who's got the most credibility, whose player skill index is the highest, just like a simple page that you can go to and see those stats. We also need in our database search, like more filters so that you can more easily and quickly filter the scores beyond just the basic by player name or by game itself. You know, what if you want to say, I want to see, here's a perfect example. I want to see all of the top US countries. I want to see it by countries. How do all the countries rank across all the games, right? There's no easy way to do that right now, but what we want to work on is a section of the site that allows you to pull the data in all those different ways. Let us get those things done first before we start creating supersets of across all platforms and all this other stuff. That's all I ask. This is a good idea. It's something that needs to happen. It's on the long list of things that are slowly trying to kill me. Let me give you a good example. Mobile. We need to have a mobile app that lets you access the site and have the site be really because right now the mobile it's not good. It's just, you know, your web browser's trying to struggle with it and you really need to be at a PC. Okay, so mobile. Do you know how much it costs to pay to have a really good mobile app that's going to interface with Twin Galaxies and bring all that functionality we have of adjudication into the mobile app? You're talking about many, many, many thousands of dollars that I'm not asking you to give me. So I want to get those things done first, which I consider sort of the fundamentals of the system. Then we can get a little fancier with this sort of thing. So I hope
I like to remind
Yeah, go ahead.
people, go on archive.org.com and look at the past versions of the website.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which I just not to be defending you or whatever, etc. But it's such more leaps and bounds better than before. We had mobile phones with iPhones and we're able to browse. It's easier to browse the new website than it was 3-4 years ago.
As in, you can actually browse this website.
You can actually search
and it
the
works.
store. So I just want
I appreciate that. It is a lot of work. Right now, there's a lot of work going into sort of simplifying the main web interface. So you'll see it start to take more and more of sort of a Facebook-like. Like for instance, if you go to the web page now, you'll notice when you log in, you no longer see credibility and submission points on the bar itself. Now, when you click your name, the profile drops down, and then you see it in there. We'll be able to have little drop-down icons so that you can more easily search the database, and we can kind of get rid of those big buttons on the front of the page and make room for more useful things, because we can move all that functionality into the menu bar at the top. So we're doing that. Now let me take a second and look at the chat because I don't want to miss anything. Because it's going fast. Okay. Okay, can we at least get the link on the mobile site to the full site? I don't have a computer, so I have no choice but to use my phone. You need to make your phone not load the mobile version of the site. In your settings on your phone, if you go into your browser, it will give you an option to either to load the mobile site if it detects one, or to load the regular site. If you uncheck load mobile site, when you go to Twin Galaxies, it'll load the regular site and it'll all kind of be in there. So that will at least help if all you have is your phone to access the site. So let me press on. As of now, here we go. As of now, Twin Galaxies currently does not have any real glitch speedrun tracks in the database. Would Twin Galaxies be willing to overstep the cost of track creation in order to establish several new speedrun categories? Then they go on to explain more about that. The answer to that is yes. And so, and this is going to be part of this other thing, which is Barthax had pointed out, the cost of creating tracks is very expensive, and when you're trying to create different tracks for different levels of a game, it starts getting really, really expensive. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that if you are a founder of a track, let's say Sonic, right? You found the Sonic the Hedgehog track, and it's fastest time on level 1. Well, you're like, okay, well, I'd like to have fastest time on level 2. Or fastest time.
Don't give people those ideas.
I'm just saying, just random. You set up fastest time on level 1, but then you're like, well, I need fastest time on level 2. I gotta buy that. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a way for the founders of the tracks to be able to create to derive child tracks from the main track, as long as the rules aren't changing. So if the rules don't change, but the description can change, you're able to go, okay. And there won't be any cost to it. It won't cost you any submission points to do it. So you'd establish the Sonic game, and then level 1 fastest track. Then you could derive from the Sonic game, if you're the founder, or one of the founders, because it's the top sponsors of the tracks that become the founders, that you can then create a new track, change the description, everything stays the same. The game stays the same, the rules stay the same. You can't modify those, but you can name the description level 2. Boom, that gets put into the database, and you could go level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6, and then that will allow you to propagate out the entire game underneath the main track. And this will deal with things like Angry Birds for mobile phones and all of that stuff. So establish the Sonic game, and then level 1 fastest track. Then you could derive from Skype, or you have to mute your stream if you're in Skype because you get a loop back. Okay, so let me look at the chat really quick. Submission points. Submission, Tampa says, submission points, which I basically want to see drop completely. I don't need to see them at all. Of course, submission points are the mechanism by which work energy is transferred. And Tampa doesn't want any energy transfer. It has to be all one direction, which would be great. I'd like to get everything serviced to me for just because too. So I can't fault that, but that's not a solution. He says, right now you're forced to review a game you may not know anything about simply to get points. You're not forced to do anything. You don't have to do anything, okay? The thing you gotta understand is Twin Galaxies is not trying to replace anybody. If the Speedrun community has their sites and they want to go do that, and go do that. There's no submission points over there. Go put your score there. Go ahead. That's fine. That's wonderful. Twin Galaxies is different. Twin Galaxies, spends a lot of money, and it has a lot of relationships, and it's going to continue to elevate the players that are participating. There is an actual cost, and there's an actual result that will come from all of this. It will, and so it's you. If you want recognition from that machine that's being invested into by myself, that by being invested into by the community itself, there's value in that, and that is why it's worth more to hold a record in Twin Galaxies. There's a lot of conversation that's out there that says, well, Twin Galaxies isn't like the world record. There's other places that have records out there too. And so it shouldn't say world record. It should, Now, I understand the general idea behind that statement, but let me give you a little bit more perspective on that. Every record-keeping place has different methods of adjudicating their record in. They are not all the same. They are not all equal. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I am simply saying they are not the same. Therefore, you simply can't group them all together. You can't go and say, oh, here it is, and they're all sort of unique. Now, I will say, in a heavily biased fashion, that a Twin Galaxies world record is the most valuable. It is the most valuable because it has the longest legacy, and with our new process, more eyeballs are on these things than any other record system that there is. Just more eyeballs. Angry eyeballs, inexperienced eyeballs, experienced eyeballs, more eyeballs. I can look at the back end of the system, and way more people are participating than you think. Way more. Do not use just like how many comments a score got as the test of how many people are looking at this and weighing in on it. And I think that's fine, and then that's great. We spend a lot of time working with Guinness. Guinness has been up and down and through our whole system. They know how it works. They realize how valuable the system actually is. And so yes, Twin Galaxies records become Guinness World Records. Guinness, it's up to Guinness. They can go and get whatever other records they want to include into video games, and that's fine. It's no beef on that. If they go to some other community and they grab a record, that's great. That's wonderful. But Guinness is quickly understanding that Twin Galaxies' ability to sort of be this front end, dealing with all of this score input that's coming, and because all Guinness really wants to focus on is the editorial. They want to go, here's all these amazing records, but here's the editorial around it. Let's look at these people and how interesting it is, because that's what sells books. So the more you can take off their hands the grunt work of just producing stats, the more and the easier it is, the easier it interfaces with their back end and all this other stuff, the more they're going to be like, yeah, let's focus over here because we're trying to sell books. We got to promote this thing. All that costs money. A back end that can talk to Guinness's back end, who over in the speedrun community even wants to spend the money to go do that? They don't, and they shouldn't have to, and because it's its own community and they're doing that stuff for fun and they appreciate each other. I appreciate that stuff. It's great. But Twin Galaxies is not that. So you have to understand that, like, if I want the speedrunning community, if they're interested, to participate over in Twin Galaxies, but they need to do so understanding that it's a community. There's a give and take process here. The submission points are a way for that give and take process to take place. I've read, you know, Tompa goes fastest time equals world records no matter where it's tracked. That's not true. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take your statement, Tompa, and I'm going to run with it. I'm going to go outside with my 5 friends, and we're going to get the fastest time on, you know, Mario 64. And then we're going to come back and we're say, dude, we got the fastest time. Here it is. It's in our records. Here it is. That's the fastest time. We all decided over there that that's the fastest time. How accurate is it? What's the credibility behind that group of people? Maybe it is the fastest time. You don't know. Who knows? But by your statement, it would be, because it was tracked somewhere, right? Obviously. So therefore, it's valid. I understand the high point you're trying to make. I understand that. But what I would hope that you and others who feel the way that you feel will understand is there is a practical application of what you're talking about. There's the reality of the expression of capturing a record, what is involved around that record, and how do you validate it to another person? Because I don't care if those 6 guys over there say, oh, well, he's the fastest, you know, guy to do the Tour de France by himself. It's like, you need to do the Tour de France during the Tour de France, then you've got the record. Don't come and tell me. So there are things around that. But I understand the sentiment. And you've noticed that Twin Galaxies is saying Twin Galaxies world record, Twin Galaxies world record, Twin Galaxies ranking. We're putting the words Twin Galaxies before we say world record. That's what we're doing. But I'm going to sit there and also tell you that means that's what you want. You want it to say Twin Galaxies world record. If it just simply says world record, it's not quite the same. So, because then what does that mean, world record? It's just a thought. Let me look at the chat. Let's see. All right. I've got all that data. Okay. In terms of validation, I trust a site like ZSR a lot more than TG because there's a dedicated community that watch the runs, that know if the runs are valid enough, that put a lot more effort into it. This core group doesn't exist in the same way on TG for speed runs mainly. Okay. That may be the case, but only you know that. And only people who are in the know what's going on with the speedrun community. That credibility that you're talking about doesn't translate to the person walking across the street who doesn't know anything about video games, right? They don't understand what all they'll see, I mean, is a very, very, very small group of people who are into speedruns, who are validating themselves left and right. But there's no real, like, the reason the speedrun community stays the way that it is because A, it wants to, but B, the structure of it, the very nature of it doesn't allow for a tremendous amount of growth, because at some point things just start costing money. Housing your servers, allocating time to do all this stuff. You got a lot of volunteers doing volunteer work, and I think it's great, and they're doing volunteer, and it's wonderful, but looking at 30 years of Twin Galaxies of volunteer work, I understand where the limitations are, where it hits, why Twin Galaxies never was able to get past a certain threshold, because after a certain threshold, there's less fun for some components of it and more work and expense. So, Twin Galaxies now is putting in a lot of that work and expense. Certainly would love to include all gamers, because Twin Galaxies is not trying to be exclusive. It's trying to support gaming culture at large, in general, across the board. So the them and us type of an attitude doesn't really exist with me, And I'm not trying to make anybody do anything. Other communities can do what they want. They're invited in to Twin Galaxies if they want to come. It's totally fine. It's not going to change the fact that I'm investing more money, more time, and more energy by far than every other single video game record keeping place combined. You can add them all up together. They're not matching what we're putting behind Twin Galaxies, and we'll continue to put behind Twin Galaxies. It's not even close. It's not even in the same universe. And at some point, that differential will really, really start to matter. You'll start to feel it. We're just kind of at the beginning, so it's easy to kind of go, whatever. But it will matter because, it's work effort, essentially, that's going in. And the community, the Twin Galaxies community is putting that work effort in along with the whole process. And it makes a big difference. So, Tomba goes, even if TG fixes all the problems when it comes to speedrunning, runners will likely not come here either because of TG's reputation and because we have no reason to be here. But I would love to have I can tell, let me be crystal clear. The speedrun community, a good portion of it will show up, as well a whole bunch of other top game players. The minute it starts to be worth the while beyond just the having fun. So if you have a $50,000, whoever holds the first position at the end of the year on Mario 64 in a speedrun track, I promise you we're going to get speedrunners who are going to try to get that $50,000, as an example. Or even better, if there is a Nike contract at the end of a certain player skill index, Nike announces, you know what? We've looked at this player skill index thing. We've looked at the way Twin Galaxies is handling it. We know Jace, yada, yada, yada. There's going to be 5 contracts that we're giving to gamers, and it's going to be based on X, Y, and Z, and speedruns are part of that, and you need to be on the track. Well, okay, then maybe it makes sense for a speedrunner to come and put the time and effort. Maybe not. Maybe they don't give a crap. Maybe they just want to that's fine. It's okay. Twin Galaxies has to have hundreds of thousands of participants. Do you understand? Not just thousands, hundreds of thousands. So we're moving towards a situation where that will start to occur. And there's plenty of people out there who will discover this and have it grow, because I think having a platform like this grow is good for all of video game culture. Twin Galaxies is that entity that can step forward and talk intelligently about the virtues and values of a gamer lifestyle, of accomplishment in a video game. Not just a League of Legends person talking up League of Legends and that's all they care about is League of Legends, but overall, and to have all the statistics to back it up and all these other sorts of things. I mean, we spend our lives playing video games, and you got a whole portion of the world that basically craps on it culturally. I just saw a commercial the other day for Mazola oil, cocoa oil or something, and they were doing this split screen about things that are bad for you and things that are good for you, and they weren't saying anything, but they would show, like, on one side, donuts, on the other side, carrots, and then on one side they had kids playing video games, and the other side they had kids playing soccer outside. It's a subconscious message that they're throwing right in your face, and I can't stand it. It drives me out of my mind. So part of the mission here.
Are you sure wasn't soccer was the bad thing? Just to make sure.
Well, you know what I'm talking about? It makes me crazy.
I know.
If it had Tompa's really Tompa, if all you want to do is do a speed run and then post it up somewhere and have everybody go, well, that's amazing. But you don't want to do anything else, or I'm not saying you, but let's say a speedrunner doesn't want to do anything else other than just post up. Why should I have to do anything? Why should I have to look at somebody else's speedrun or score or anything to post mine or to that's fine. Go do that. They should just go do that. Those aren't the kind of game players that will enjoy the Twin Galaxies community of give, take, sharing, and all that other stuff. That's just more wanting adulation for the sake of getting it. That's it. Nothing wrong with that, but there's already a place to go do that. They can continue to go do that. That's fine. Twin Galaxies is not trying to compete with other sites. No, I don't care. Good. I don't want them to go away. I want the more the merrier. The more people playing games and having fun the way that they want to, the better it is in general. So Twin Galaxies is not trying to be something else. It's trying to live up to what it could be in its own right as envisioned by Walter and with all that legacy, that there's value in that. All right, let me jump forward. Will there be a way to either pause the video feed on the Twin Galaxies main site or at least dial down the video quality? We did that, it's done. The video quality now, like, you should not have a problem. Data God, if you're watching, it's now does not use hardly any bandwidth at all when you go to the page. Handled. Next. In regard to rating the tracks by stars, could it show whether or not you voted on a track? At the moment, this is not showing. Well, the short answer is yes, but this feature has to go on the bottom of the list because there's a whole bunch of other things. And plus, you can see if you voted on a track simply by clicking the stars, because it always remembers what your vote was. So you could click, but no, there's not a fast way to scan. But at most, you're looking at what? At most, 10 tracks in a row. So it's on the list. Let's see. Black skills. If you don't want to compete, then don't call your records the actual records because that's a major insult. No, Tampa. Our records are Twin Galaxies world records and rankings. Period. That's what we're calling it. That's what it is. And they also are Guinness World Records. So those are what it is. They're Guinness World Records, Twin Galaxies World Records. That's what they're called. So I don't see what the problem is. We can call them that because that's what they are. If there's some community over there doing speed runs and they feel they've got faster things and doing that, good. That's great. They can go do that and that's nothing wrong with that. We're not in competition with that. Who cares? I can tell you this right now. Accomplishing an achievement on a Twin Galaxies speedrun track is eventually going to net you more than any other place. I can tell you that in terms of recognition, in terms of economics, in terms of just value and historical archiving. That I can tell you, but that's just in terms of like a value to you. I'm not saying whether it's your judgment whether that's better or not. Okay, that's your judgment. It's not about being better. It's just different. There's a different opportunity with Twin Galaxies. So, okay, Tampa says, look at the Gamers Edition. Twin Galaxies records are not Guinness World Records. Well, for the last few years, I don't think Twin Galaxies was in there. If they had been, I don't know where they were getting the records from because it was down for 2 years. I can only talk about right now. I can talk.
Just
go
one
ahead.
here, Jace, if you want some specifics.
What's up?
Just 1 year. That's
Just
all.
1 year. Like
Last year.
2008, right?
Just 1 year.
Yeah.
All the previous years include Twin Galaxies record. Actually, last year included one Twin Galaxies record.
Okay.
It was Billy Mitchell's, of course. But.
Okay. So I don't know then if just 1 year there were not Twin Galaxies records in the Guinness book, then okay, I can tell you right now, Twin Galaxies records are Guinness records. I have the deal. I'm telling you as a fact, can't be argued, Twin Galaxies record, and in fact, I'm seeing what the 2016 book is looking like. So it's okay. I mean, it's like I said. It feels like you want to that there's some sort of tone or some sort of competitive thing. There isn't. Not on my part. I don't care. All I'm trying to do is for the people who participate in Twin Galaxies, elevate that, and ancillarily elevate everybody else in the game culture as much as possible. I'd be happy to do things to support the speed demo community. They don't ask.
Hey Jace, I
they don't
gotta
talk
go.
to
It
me.
was a pleasure listening.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's hop forward. Let me jump quick. Why Twin Galaxies doesn't allow the release of world record holders an ordinary world record certificate for their record just to print? Okay, the reason that we're not just like making certificates available just willy-nilly just relates to if you're holding a record and you're entitled to a certificate, my belief is that it's a very special thing, that you've earned something of value, and I don't want something that can be easily copied or replicated or faked. And so there's this process that we're going through here in terms of dealing with companies that can produce records and make it, it's a real thing that you got there, and you know, it's like money. You don't just let people print money. You know, hey, well, I have 5 credits, let me just print up a money. You have something really valuable, so we want to just put something around. I know that it's been a long time, and that you really want to get your certificate, and that there's a certain amount of impatience related to this. I understand. So no attacks. I'm just saying, just please be patient more, please, because we'll get to this, and it'll be glorious, and it'll be a good solution. I know you want to get it though, so just know that that's not forgotten. Let's go. All right. I have a question about users who have restricted access on the forums. It seems pretty clear that this restriction was only meant to prevent them from the social aspects, not to limit their ability to submit. The problem is many times additional evidence is needed and provided by comments. By denying a restricted user the right to comment on her own submission, then there effectively is a higher burden of proof, and basically that sucks. So what are you going to do about that? Nothing. Let me tell you something. If you get yourself into a situation where you have been banned and restricted, sorry, man or woman, that's too bad. Don't act out to the point where the whole community's got to band together and limit you. There's not going to be any exception. Yes, it places a higher burden of proof on your record that you're submitting, because you have to put everything in up front, because you can't really answer to anything that anybody's saying. I mean, you could argue, well, that's a penalty for not giving a crap about what people think when you're doing whatever it is that you were doing that got you on restriction. That's just life. And you know, the way out of that is to behave in such a manner and get someone to recommend that your restriction be lifted, because the community can lift your restriction just as fast as they can put one on you. That's the solution to solving the problem. Okay. So,
How is that done, Jace? I'm just curious.
what?
How do we unrecommend somebody?
Just go to the tribunal forum as a verified user, and then post your recommendation that I think this person should be unrestricted. And then what will happen is as per the rules, all people have to do is like your post. Right,
okay.
Right, like or hit thanks, or if they're, and that's why, you know, and if they don't want people to know whether they've said like or not, they can private message me, hey, I support this, and then we will take up a whole tally and see if the verified community really wants this restriction lifted, because we'll compare we'll compare that to how many people in the verified community place the restriction on them. Right? Okay. So if you had like 200 people who said this person needs to go, and then you only have like 5 people saying, well, we want them back, that's not going to be enough to help. But these things
cool.
are obvious.
I plan on getting, so that's all.
Okay, perfect. I can't wait. Okay. Typos and formatting and rules for new tracks. Are we going to get the opportunity to fix typos and formatting in the new score tracks? No. We're going through and fixing the new score tracks formats. So create a thread where there's problems. We fixed the Robotron ones, and we fixed, like, 'cause in the beginning there were problems. So we're going in, our staff is going in and fixing them. It's so that way you know it's only formatting is changing. We don't want to create a scenario where there ever could be the possibility for a rule change on a track by a user. The rules can't change once the track's started. What could be done with older tracks as far as grammatical, stylistic, or non-subject? Someone create a forum thread. It's kind of like scoreboard errors, you know, where that thread just keeps living. and then just post those tracks in with what the suggestions are, and then our staff will review them and fix them. We'll make its own determination whether it needs to be fixed or not, and then we can go in and fix them. And we'll just work it over time as a team unit. Okay? I wish that more Commodore 64 runs and Commodore Amiga runs speed. I do too. I'd love for the Commodore community to come over to Twin Galaxies and start busting out stuff. Okay, Tompa says, wait, another thing. When TG announces upcoming events, it'd be nice if they aren't purely focused on arcade events. Why not mention things like AG? Tompa, that's a good point. We have a calendar that the verified user community can put stuff in. And if you put stuff into our event calendar, then our staff will promote that to the front page as the event comes up. But no one puts anything in, so Franny does all the stuff. So all you have to do is make us aware of whatever the event is. We support and promote any video game playing event. It's weird, arcade only. That's not the case. So we definitely will do that. So if you have things that you want us to promote, we'll totally do that. All right. Could tracks with no submissions be hidden by default, possibly by having a show hidden button? No, I'll tell you why. Because then no one would ever know they existed. If they don't have any submissions and you don't even see them, then how would they ever get a submission because you don't even know that there's a track to have? I hope that made sense. What about omitting rules that do not directly impact gameplay or superfluous rules? You need to just put what you think in the post, and we'll be the judge of whether or not it's a substantive rule change or not. Most of these things will be obvious. If it's not obvious, then the answer will probably be no. But if it's like, man, look at that messy ass rule set. That's just, you can't even read that. Obviously, we need to fix that. Could there be a feature to donate points to other players, for example, to a new user or friend? The jury's still out on whether we want to allow that. The first stage of that is going to be the bounty system, so that you can bounty certain tracks or certain events, certain things with your submission points. So you can go, okay, I'm putting up 400 submission points to the first person who can get 1,000,000 points in Donkey Kong before 2 weeks from now, right? And then the bounty goes up, and then people can claim it. So you can have sort of like a little exchange there, and that is points moving from one to another. Naturally, people are gonna. There's a lot of thought that has to go into it because some people will just use it as a point transfer system. Oh, the first bounty to do one jumping jack. Oh, he did it. Here's the like. There's got to be some rules around that. But I think that interpoint commerce is something that is going to evolve on the site and become more prevalent. You're also going to see, we're going to eventually work towards like the site after you log in kind of feeling a little like Facebook. Instead of going to the forum page, you'll come to your own wall and have your own feed. And then you can comment on each other's feeds and it's sort of like a super hyper narrowed down focused Facebook that only cares about video game achievements and culture. All right, let me move on. Oh, that's it. Look at that. I made it through to the end. I got 10 minutes. All right. So let me open it up to just any and all questions that you might have. And by the way, Tompa, I appreciate you coming to the site and voicing the speedrunning opinion. I don't take it like it's not negative at all. These are things that Twin Galaxies has to look at, has to understand, participate, answer to, figure out. So all of your challenge to the system is welcome. Because it's not like I know everything or we know everything. It's a process, right? So just know that you're appreciated for that. What else? I don't take you as rude, Tompa, trust me. I'm not, first of all, I'm not a sensitive type, and secondly, I have lived in the video game culture since forever. I know how we all are. That's it. And I know the whole range, right? All the way from there's a kill screen coming up to, and I love all that stuff. So it's all good, man. I've been mad at TG for the past 10 years. Well, yeah, I understand. There's been a lot of people been mad at TG for a long time. And it's just going to take time, you know, to heal that. And, you know, Twin Galaxies needs to behave in a way that it's expected, you know, and so I think we're doing as a community where there's not, the negativity level is not what it used to be. People are participating. The site is just growing and growing. You know, here's something that you can know. I'll tell you. I'm just trying to get all these fundamental things finished. The user interface easier, the point system, we need to put the score challenge system up, all those things. And once we do, then I'll be comfortable turning and spending my money on marketing the shit out of Twin Galaxies, you know? Like where, you know, like there are ways, for instance, to get on, say, Jimmy Kimmel's show, right? Bring on like a top player. You know, you do something easy, like something that everybody understands, like someone who did, like the piano mobile game, right? iOS that everybody could understand. You grab that person, you go on Jimmy Kimmel, and they do their thing, and everybody goes, "Wow, that's amazing!" You know, yeah, you know, Twin Galaxies. You can send some scores. There's a whole community there. Do you have any idea once the mass audience knows that they all are ultimately gamers and can participate and come to this thing, and then they're aware of it, and then that the site is ready to take on that experience because it's got to be really easy to use. It's got to be, you know, so it's going to be fun and amazing, and a lot of people are going to want to participate. So, you know, just know.
King of Kong times 50.
just know that we're doing. It's like I can't move fast enough. It's like I can't get things done quick enough. And then Neo says I have a minute left. So any more questions from anybody? I hope this was somewhat informative. Let's see. Site, it's running barely at all for me too. I think we've been under some, here's one thing to know really quick. We're constantly under hack attacks. Constantly. you have no idea how much Twin Galaxies is attacked. Like from DDoSing to, you have no idea. So it's possible we're getting hit with DDoS right now at twingalaxies.com. And so we'll deal with it, but eventually the site, yeah, I can see the site's just not coming up. So earlier today I noticed that someone was trying to hit us. I'm gonna guess it's Mike Girard, and there was a quick question, how does Girard get his re-verification? That won't happen anymore. That was happening because we would allow, you know, you need a valid phone number and then you can verify an account, and we wouldn't ban a phone number. I'm out. All right. Okay. All right. So anyway, I can go. I can get off. It's fine. I'll go deal with the site, and it'll come back. And next up is someone else. So thanks, guys, and
See you live. Come on.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right. I'm out.
Twin Galaxies.